today and came in and pre-recorded the music for today, and we have some special music videos for you as well. So that's pretty cool. So we send them thank you and blessings. So welcome to Unity. If this is your first time, we have a welcome packet for you in the bookstore. We have a table of information at the back there. We welcome you and thank you for bringing your unique energy to this space to contribute to what we're creating here today. If you're watching online, we welcome you as well, and we're grateful that you're watching. And let people know that if they can't, if a friend says, oh, I can't make it on Sunday, remind them to go to youtube.com and just put in the search field Unity of London, and there you'll be. You'll be able to watch the past services, and you'll be able to watch live as well. So we have a few announcements for you this morning. The first is Glendale Crossing. So next Sunday at 2 o'clock, we will be at Glendale Crossing, which is on Southdale Road between Warncliffe and Wonderland, and in Westmount. Excuse me. And we offer the Sunday service for them. So it's about a half-hour service. We arrive about 1:45, and as the residents start coming into the room, we hand out the hymnals. And Jim and Carlin will be there with us next Sunday doing the hymns, playing hymns. And we give them a little short little talk. So it's really a ministry of presence. We're really there to be present for them and to offer that Sunday service. So if you haven't been, please come out, because what we're trying to do is, because you can imagine elderly people often have quite soft voices, so we can be that voice in the room to help carry the tunes and be present with them. And sometimes then we go around and we help them change the page on the hymnals when we move from one song to the next. So if you can help us with that, we would love to have you. And how many people have been out to Glendale before? Okay, so quite a few, and so we look forward to your being there next Sunday to help us as well. Mother's Day pictures. If you have Mother's Day pictures with you and your mom, or you as a mom with your child, send those to Hilda this week to unityoflondon@hotmail.com, and she'll put that in as part of the Mother's Day presentation. And the bookstore has a raffle for Mother's Day, so get your tickets today, 1 for $2, 3 for $5. And I wanted to just add an announcement, because I'm always amazed when I see our Unity magazines in the bookstore, and we haven't sold the current issue, and we have a few back issues, and I think, maybe people don't know what's in this magazine. For $5.50, which is I volunteer in the gift shop at the hospital, and the magazines are expensive, so this is a bargain. In this current issue, you'll have, there's articles on choosing the voice of fear or love. Carolyn Miss has an article called God and Guts, and she writes, the true spiritual path is taking on everything about you that you know is nonsense. Don't you love that? It's taking on everything about yourself that you know is nonsense. There's another article called Religious Teachings versus Spiritual Wisdom, and there's an article, The Power of No. And I think sometimes that's really important. So for $5.50, I bought 3 today, this and 2 back issues. So there's back issues there. They're timeless, and so I really encourage you to pick up a copy of one of those magazines today. Okay, so our theme for the year is One Humanity, Many Stories, and we've had the last Sunday of each month someone talking about a different religion. Will is going to be talking about the Baha'i faith next month. So this month I'm talking about Hinduism. Hinduism is the 3rd largest world religion behind Christianity and Islam. It consists of thousands of different religious groups that have evolved in India since 1500 BCE. That is old. Most forms of Hinduism recognize a single deity and view other gods and goddesses as manifestations or aspects of that supreme god or goddess. Hinduism is among the world's most religiously tolerant faiths, making India one of the most religiously tolerant countries in the world. There is a Hindu cultural center here in London, and I love their mission to promote and preserve the Hindu religious and cultural heritage, and to strive for inter-religious harmony, understanding, and universal brotherhood among Canadians. of all ethnic groups and persuasions. So truly there's a real unity flair to that. They want to provide, some of their objectives are to undertake activities conducive to the Hindu way of life, to hold regular religious services, to provide an opportunity for maximum fraternization and integration among Canadians of all walks of life and religious beliefs. So they like to invite people from different religions to come and speak to them, and then they like to go out into the community and tell others what they are about. Hinduism differs from Christianity and other monotheistic religions in that it does not have a single founder, it does not have a specific theological system, it does not have a single concept of deity or a single holy text, and it does not have a single system of morality, a central religious authority, or the concept of a prophet. So it's pretty wide open. All Hindu homes usually have a small shrine or a puja room, which is for daily prayers. Hindus generally go to temples only on auspicious occasions or during religious festivals. By being a Hindu, everything that is done is a form of worship. Each day has its importance and is devoted to different demigods. And lastly, if you were to go to a Hindu service, what would it look like? The service varies for different gods. Each god has his or her own paraphernalia for worship. The puja, which is the prayer ritual where devotees make a deep connection to God through prayer, inner reflection, and an offering. They start with mantras being recited by the priest. There will be lamps and a lot of incense. There will be bells rung repeatedly. Flowers will be offered to the deity along with food. There will be the sprinkling of peace water on the people that are present. After the ceremony proper is over, you might be given a 5-wick lamp. The lamp will be held in front of you, and you put your hand over the fire for a second or two, take in the heat, and apply it to your head. So, yeah, it sounds like a very peaceful religion. So that is Hinduism. Okay, so let us stand and sing with Jim.
Hit it, Jim! On the wings of your soul, like a spirit is pure, sweet love, a sign from above. On the wings of a dove. Snow white
foundation is affirmative prayer. If you wish prayer for someone else or for yourself, you're invited to use our prayer box, which is up here on the front table. Put a first name only on a piece of paper and place it in the box. No need to explain the situation, as God is all-knowing. It will be prayed over here at Unity by our prayer angels for 30 days and then sent on to Silent Unity for additional prayer. And please remember that 24 hours a day, you can call 1-800-NOW-PRAY to reach Silent Unity, where people have been praying with and for people for over 130 years. If you wish private one-on-one prayer, we have a prayer chaplain available to pray with you following today's service. And you can meet our prayer chaplain in our prayer room, which is just out through the fellowship hall, up the stairs, and down the hall. And today's prayer chaplain is Sylvia. Please come forward and lead us in prayer.
Good morning. Sweet Spirit, as this group of wonderful divine beings comes together for this time of joyous fellowship, learning, transformation, we open our hearts for prayer. We settle into our heart space, closing our eyes if we're comfortable. And we bring into our prayer today all these spiritual gatherings that are happening, for we know there are many paths to the one God. In particular, we also bring in Unity of Comox and Unity of Montreal. And each of us that are hearing my voice, we whisper the names of those we would like additional prayer for at this time. And Spirit, as we come together in a spirit of oneness, we envision this group of people all circling the world, holding our hands. Imagine yourself now, the person beside you holding hands, and we make the world small so that we just envelope it with our hug. And in that world we see the billions of people, all divine expressions, knowing that each and every one of us has a power of love in our heart space. And we see every heart in the world shining a bright, bright pink. And for those who have had a heart that has been closed off, we see a light cracking open, and imagine that all the hearts of the world are shining brighter and brighter. And we are grateful and joyous to come together today to not only change ourselves, but make a difference in the world. And so it is.
And now for a message from the Daily Word brought to you by Silent Unity. The message is about healing. I praise and bless the life energy in my body and mind. Unity co-founder Myrtle Fillmore's healing from serious illness led to the founding of the Unity movement. She discovered that her intelligence could guide the life energy in her body. She wrote, I began to teach my body and got marvelous results. Speaking words of strength and power, Myrtle praised the life in every part of her body. She prayed, asking for strength to think only kind, loving, and sincere thoughts about her body. Myrtle refused to be discouraged when her progress seemed slow. Eventually, in 2 years, she realized wholeness. Following Myrtle's example, I release all thought of weakness or disease. In steadfast faith, I praise and bless the life energy in my body and mind. I realize wholeness. He said to her, Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace. Luke 8:48. Our special music today is by Faith Rivera, coming to us by video, singing her song, God Is. stand, God is standing strong. Where I breathe, God is breathing life in and out and through me. As me, where I sing, God is. Where I dance, joy lives in my feet. Where I live, beauty's flowing free, in and out and through me. As me, for where I doubt, God is the faith in me. Where I cry, God is the comfort there. Where I seek, God is the answer, here and now, forever and ever and ever. Where I speak, truth is. Where I work, love is my career. And where I play, God is playing boldly, in and out and through me. As me, oh, oh, do-do-do, oh, hey, yeah. Where I am, where I stand, where I play, where I work and breathe and move and feel, where I sing, where I dance, my dance, my dance, wherever I go, where I pray and take it, give and leave. God is, life is, joy is, oh, God is. Oh, my next life I want to come back as Faith Rivera. Well, however, our theme is being enough. So I am enough. And our guest speaker this morning, of course, is our beloved Pauline Duncan-Thrasher, who's been a Toastmaster for years. She's been a past board president, a wonderful presence in the community, coaching others to be good speakers. And she's involved in many activities. She's a life coach. So I just want a warm unity welcome for Pauline Duncan-Thrasher.
Thanks so much, Rev. Lori. Oh, Faith Rivera. Can you just imagine yourself wherever you are, feeling that wondrous presence of God? And that's just an illuminating, powerful message. This is the final week in April, and our theme for April has been, I am enough. I don't know about you, but there are times when I really doubt that. But as spiritual, loving, creative, God-centered members of Unity of London, we need to know that we have everything within us that is truly enough. Today's message will be about the power of thought connected with our spiritual essence. And I'll be sharing some ideas that are both from scientists, from the Buddhism faith, from our own unity principles from Charles Fillmore, Myrtle Fillmore, and our way shower, Jesus. Thought, when I looked it up, I actually had to look up the meaning, even though we all think, don't we? And it's called the mental process in which beings form psychological associations and models of the world. Our interpretations of the world are as varied from each other as there are leaves on the grass, leaves on the trees. Thinking is our way of manipulating information when we form concepts, engage in problem-solving, reason, and make decisions. And you already know that a thought might be an idea in your head. It might be an image, a visualization, a sound, or even an emotional feeling that arises from something we see, hear, or remember. And I want to read to you something significant to all of us. And I know that Myrtle Fillmore believed in this totally because she practiced it. She practiced it as prayer, meditation, and going into the silence. Visualization and guided imagery. Techniques for picturing or imagining something specific that we may not be able to touch or feel right at that moment. It's an ancient healing practice. Contemporary research has proven that it's effective. People are able to do mighty, wondrous deeds through visualizing. We do it through prayer and meditation. Visualizing can be applied to enhancing athletic performance. So if you want to get out there and run a marathon, you need to first think it. I'm not a marathon runner. That thought doesn't even cross my mind. To reducing anxiety. How often have you felt stressed, anxious, bothered, bewildered by a series of events and not knowing what in the world to do with it? Those thoughts that create the anxiety can also turn to a spiritual center and transform that anxious, stress-filled, chaotic feeling into one of peace and calm. Miguel Ruiz reminded us in the Four Agreements of the power of not taking things personally and not making assumptions. I choose those two. Because to me, those two can either push us forward into a position we don't want to be in or draw us back to start to think. Why am I taking what someone said or did personally? My thinking is turning something into a huge drama. you ever do that? Yes, I do that. We all have to be aware of the time when our power of thought is creating something massive out of something very small, and maybe even distorting, making assumptions. Our thinking can cause us to assume, to act as though we know what someone else is thinking, planning, doing, and it may be so far from the truth that we need to get back to reality. The power of thought. I chose this visual just because, to me, it has the color, the magnitude, the thought that what we think can also create wondrous vibrations. And our own Unity Principle 3 reminds us that we create experiences by the activity of our thinking. That everything in the manifest realm has its beginning in thought. Isn't that exciting? When you think of the inventions, our lights, our sound, our furniture, the art, the music, the creations, all began with thought. And it leaves our universe for us wide open and so filled with potential. This morning in Rev Laurie's meditation, at the end, she said, you can dance with the thrill of being you. You can dance with exhilaration and raise your arms and cheer every time you think. Think about the potential of you. The potential of you to expand so far ahead of where you are right now that you cannot fathom it. I love when Rev Laurie asks us to turn to someone beside us. But I'll just change it a little bit. I invite you to stand up and look at somebody that you don't usually look at that much and mouth the words, I see the power of you. Not the person beside you, not even the person right behind you. Maybe somebody in the back row who slipped in because they wanted to come in unnoticed. And you're saying, as we say to all of our viewers out there, I see the power of you. You can sneakily go to the aisle and say that. All right. And the myriad colors, to me, represent our powers. The powers that we talk about here at Unity. The vibrancy of our faith, our love, our strength, that we can indeed call upon through the power of thought. And you may find yourself drawn to one power over another, but understand that each power can bolster us in times of need, depending on our need. Before I left this morning, my husband was heading off to out of the city, and he said, oh, Pauline, I have a little joke for you. And I said, oh, good. Rev Laurie always starts with a joke. So although it's in the midst, here's a thought about the power of thought, or not. A man used to give his wife a birthday card every single time. A beautiful, beautiful birthday card. And she got to really look forward to it because it was chosen with such care. Because she knew a lot of thought went into that card. So as her birthday came, she got excited. And then the day of her birthday arrived and she looked in the kitchen table, no card. Looked into the dining room, no card. And she was a little bewildered, and she said to her husband, finally, at the end of the day, because she wasn't someone to say, she didn't want to do that, so she just said, I didn't mention the card, I didn't see the card. And he said, well, dear, it's the thought that counts. So our thought needs to be connected with action. Next time you see Dan, you can tell him thank you. There is something about the Buddha philosophy that is so kin to ours, I believe. And we have a Buddha sitting on our table. And the power of thought, the vibrations that go out into the world from what we do, we may never realize the magnificence or the expanse of that. So the Buddha's prayer, like our prayer, awakens our inherent inner capacities. It awakens our strength, our compassion, and our wisdom. By choosing how we are going to think, we condition ourselves. By being conscious of whether we are in victim mode, victor, vessel, or verity, and that's from heart-centered metaphysics. I'm just not showing off, but I think that is really something you may want to consider. There's a course coming up, part 2, and you don't have to take part 1. And it talks a lot about our consciousness. Are we conscious of how we are thinking? Becoming conscious of whether we are feeling like a victim allows us to step out of that thought pattern and into a new thought pattern. Or allows us, gives us the power to look inside ourselves and say, which power do I need in this moment? That's a self-awareness that takes a lot of discipline and time. And going into the silence or the meditation can be very tough. And Rev Lori always says, have a little phrase, and use that phrase. And that helps us to stay tuned in. There is a saying by the Buddhists, you will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger. And when we think angry thoughts, we may think we're really hurting that person, but really we're hurting ourselves, draining our energy, filling up that space that could be filled with kindness, love, and goodness. Those whose minds are shaped by selfless thoughts give joy when they speak or act. Joy follows them like a shadow that never leaves them. Know well what leads you forward and what holds you back. What leads us forward and what holds us back, then choose the path. All that we are is the result of what we've thought. What a responsibility that is. Woo! What we think, we become. And finally, what the Buddhists say is to apologize is the bravest. To forgive is the strongest. To forget can be the happiest. To forget the thoughts we had that were hurtful. Charles Fillmore talked a lot in his book, The Revealing Word, about the power of divine energy. And he believed, and we believe, that our spiritual power is omnipresent wherever we are. That by spiritualizing our consciousness, we release our spiritual power into our daily lives. And this divine energy surges forth through us as we erase the negative thoughts from consciousness. It's like using an eraser and rubbing off the chalkboard and then putting brand new fresh thoughts up there. And dear Myrtle Fillmore, in her book, The Healing Letters, reminds us that we gain nothing by milling around in negative thoughts. We need to get away from ourselves, our old ideas and desires, and bring our minds into perfect harmony with Christ ideas. And in her book, Healing Letters, she says this: the free flow of God's life through us becomes hindered in its expression if our thoughts and acts imply a belief in a limited number of years, in a hoarding of strength or substance or supply. We must prove here and now for ourselves that we have a faith in God as omnipresent and full of abundance. God in the midst of us is a great steady stream of renewing and cleansing and visualizing. We can have the use of this life if we open up the channels of our thoughts. I wanted to thank Maeve, who's here, Rev Maeve, for recommending this book, Fasting and Feasting. I know there are a few copies back there. If you haven't taken yours yet, please take one. And I'll just refer very briefly to a couple that I saw that fit in with today's theme. I fast from anger. When my anger is triggered, I fast from blaming or fault-finding. I deny that the words of anger or the actions of others can rob me of my equilibrium or peace of mind. Isn't that a lovely thought? I fast from the belief that I have no choice about succumbing to anger. We always have a choice. I take ownership of my reactions and prepare to make a new choice. And fasting from anger is feasting on patience, on love, on kindness, on everything that Jesus, our way shower, epitomized. So in our power of thought, we can take on kind thoughts. There's someone here, and I won't mention this person's name because this person doesn't like to be centered out, but I saw such a sweet little visual. This person and this person and his wife they foster cats. And they're so kind because they take something wild and tame it. Their thoughts of peace, love, and kindness are more powerful than the cat's wildness. This past week when I volunteered at the hospital as Parent-Patient Experience Week, I saw so many different staff members coming in, some looking worn out at the beginning of the day, but they all responded to a smile. And on Friday morning, we were passing out lifesavers, and one staff member got it. I said, would you like a lifesaver? And the other volunteer was saying, would you like a mint? And I had said to her, I better be careful saying, do you want a lifesaver in the hospital? This one person came in and she got it. She said, oh, lifesaver, that's what I need. She was a staff person. Our power of thought is transformative. It's a gift. A gift given to us as humans. And we connect that power of thought with our spiritual essence. What does that do? opens up our world to limitless opportunities to share, to give, to love. And now let us take this into meditation.
Surely the presence of love is in this place. I can feel its mighty power and its grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings, see glory on each face. Surely the presence of love is in this place. Surely the presence of love is in this place. I can feel its mighty power and its grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings, see glory on each face. Surely the presence of love is in this place.
And in this presence of love that surrounds us, that flows into and through us as God, in this calming, power-filled, still serene presence, we contemplate the power of our thought, the power of my thought. And in the next few moments, I invite you to go into the stillness, the quietness of meditation in a relaxed, spiritually centered way. And should your mind wander, come back to this phrase: the power of my thought changes lives. The power of my thought changes lives. as we return to this place, to our unity community, we recognize the power of thought, of an energy. And so it is.
Pauline, thank you so much for that thought-provoking message about the power of thought. I'm sure it will help to lead us forward in our lives with transformation for the good. I would like to mention just at this moment that the video after our offering song today is sung by Ricky Byers, I Release and I Let Go. Now it's the time for giving and receiving our tithes and offerings. Our unity principles teach us that we are one with God, Source, and so we give not to Source, but as Source. Giving has been described as a spiritual practice of radical generosity, insofar as the intent is to be an extension of spirit, tithing to what we wish to see flourish. Tithing as Source is God in expression. At the back of the sanctuary, you will find intention cards. These may also be placed in the offering bag. This week, our prayer angels will uphold your intentions for what you want to achieve, either as a plan for your day or for your life. Let us now affirm our prosperity together by singing our offertory blessing.
Strong and just to make it through.
was for Jack. Oh, let's bless our offering with our hearts open wide. We are only here for God as God. And the energy of this offering moves through this ministry in such miraculous, inspired, wonderful ways, uplifting this ministry, uplifting everyone who comes here. And as we are uplifted, we go out into the world and uplift others. So we see this offering expanding and multiplying to do its greatest good. And we're grateful for the givers of these gifts. Amen. Amen. Okay, let's stand and pray, sing our song.
Peace on earth and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as Creator, family all are we. Let's walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me, let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me.
I want to remind you that today is the last day to sign up for the Eye of the Storm class, which begins Wednesday evening. And if you haven't got your books, then please get them at the bookstore today. Yeah, thoughts. Sometimes we can get caught up in thinking, oh, my thoughts have created every single experience that I'm having in this moment. But we have to remember, too, that we are co-creative with others. And that our thoughts that are creating what we are experiencing right now sometimes have come from even before this lifetime. We carry that stream of consciousness with us, one life to the next. And so it's not so much about what we've created as how are we with it? How are we with it? And knowing that it's always for our greatest good. It can be, if we'll see it that way. So, we pray our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Yea, God.
Message that you heard, spread the word. Of what it means in your life, spread the word, spread the word, spread the word, spread the word. Of all the things we share this morning, spread the word. The news surrounding you by one, spread the word. And our doors and hearts are open, spread the word, spread the word, spread the word. Spread the word. Powerful woman.